every single day.
Much for trusting Spectrum News 13. I'm Curtis McLeod. We're coming on the air when our weather center, our weather experts tracking severe storms in Brevard and Volusia counties right now. Let's go ahead and hand things over to Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick. Brian, I'm looking right here.
Yeah.
Ooh, that looks like a monster storm.
That is a climbing storm. That is the severe storm we're looking at, Curtis, there behind you in Brevard County and in Osceola County, or I should say Volusia County. The two counties, it's the far northern reach of Brevard, the far southern reach of Volusia County. And this activity over an area that picked up some heavy rain yesterday. I want to pause down here and we'll see what we've got going on, because did have some reports of small hail, little pea-sized hail that was coming out of the Mims area. Let's get rid of lightning here and we'll check out what we've got going on. Looks like a storm that could be producing some pretty good hail. And as we take a look at the hail threat, just to the northeast here of Mims is where we're looking at the possibility of hail, at least pea to maybe marble size. And as far as wind, not seeing any big indication of wind at this point, but something that we need to keep an eye on. Let me put the warning back up there. Again, it's an area that does encompass Mims, and then it extends back up just up to the Oak Hill area. All points in between, including Playa Linda Beach.
All right, Brian, thank you. Tonight, a community is mourning the loss of a 4-year-old child with autism who was found dead in a pond. I want to show you where this all took place. It happened at Mission Bay Apartments just off of Vieira Boulevard in Rockledge. That's where we find Spectrum News 13's Nicole Griffin. She joins us live there right now. And I know, Nicole, a massive search that was underway earlier this morning. Tell us what you know at this hour.
Yes, Curtis, when word got out that this 4-year-old was missing, neighbors from all over this apartment complex, along with about 30 to 40 law enforcement officers, got here and started looking. Unfortunately, his body was found just after 9 a.m.
My heart is heavy right now. I'm sad.
It's not the outcome anyone wanted. A 4-year-old boy pulled from a pond after being reported missing. Linda Gilmore, who lives at Mission Bay Apartments, says she was heading out when she heard what was happening.
I told the officers when they arrived they were knocking on everybody's door this morning.
According to officials with Brevard County Sheriff's Office, they received a call from a frantic mother around 8:30 this morning saying somehow her son had unlocked the door and gotten out. They shared it was reported through dispatch that the child was autistic. At that time, K-9 teams, aviation units, and deputies swarmed the area. Gilmore also joined the search.
We are close-knit around here and we look out for one another.
By 9:20, BCSO said one of their aviation units spotted what they thought could be the child in a pond. A deputy went in to get him, but the boy was already dead.
Children are very enamored with water, and we see too many of these where a child will get away and they'll walk toward the water and either slip down the bank or walk in, and once they're in the water, if they don't know how to swim, it usually doesn't turn out very well.
He said the best way to prevent a tragedy like this is to make sure children know what to do in the water.
If you have a young child, there are safety classes that they can take to learn how to at least float on their back, which gives you some time to find them. Young children can learn to swim enough to get to the side.
As for Gilmore, she says this community is filled with children that play together. And while she doesn't know this family personally, her heart goes out to them.
I'm sad for the parents, and we're all sad for them.
BCSO says this is still a very active investigation. They said investigators right now are combing through records, trying to see if DCF was ever called here and if negligence could be a factor or if this was just an unfortunate accident. Reporting live in Brevard County, Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office officials say responding to situations like this can be traumatic for their deputies. They said they are making sure services will be available for the deputy that actually found the child and the deputy going to the autopsy, of course, if they need to do so. All right, now the nonprofit Autism Speaks has some tips to help keep children from wandering. They recommend installing alarms on all doors in your home that lead to the outside. Check in with local law enforcement to see if they have a tracking device that your child can wear at all times. And they also recommend introducing your child to neighbors so they know who to look for if they wander away from home. It's 5:04 this evening. Scientists at the University of Florida are testing DNA from 3 bears killed by Florida Fish and Wildlife. Now, all of this comes after a deadly attack in Collier County. FWC officers are trying to figure out if one of them killed an elderly man and his dog earlier this week. It's the first time on record a bear actually killed a person here in Florida.
So we received a variety of samples on Monday, and we have some environmental samples from the scene itself. For example, maybe from some blood that was at the scene. We have some clothing as well, and so we're going to go through all of that and then collect samples off of it to get those analyzed.
Now, scientists are testing DNA samples collected from a cheek swab at this point in time. All right, new tonight, the negotiations on the Florida budget, quote, blew up today after the Senate withdrew its agreement to lower Florida's sales tax. Lawmakers were supposed to meet Tuesday in Tallahassee, but now the Florida Senate says they're not going to show up. I want to go ahead and bring in Spectrum News 13's Jason Delgado joining us in studio. Jason, I know we're normally talking to you. You're up in Tallahassee, of course, outside the Senate and the House chambers, but joining us in studio today. Where do things stand with all of this? Pretty interesting times up there.
Yeah, no kidding. Look, it's good to be with you. It's good to be back down on the ranch. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. Things aren't very pretty right now in the Florida Capitol. Look, it was Governor Ron DeSantis who threw what is practically the wrench of all wrenches into this plan. Now, originally, the Senate agreed to work with the House on a compromise when it came to slashing sales tax. That, however, all changed after Governor Ron DeSantis said, no way, I'll veto it. So instead, Governor DeSantis is insisting that Florida lawmakers address property tax. He wants them to approve a $5 billion rebate that he says would save Floridians roughly $1,000 per home, and yet also keep Florida's 142 million visitors on average paying sales tax.
Florida first means I want that 142 million and the snowbirds who live here part-time but aren't residents, the Canadians and all that. I want them to shoulder as much of the burden as possible. I want to relieve burden on Florida residents.
Meanwhile, leaders in the House say Governor Ron DeSantis is unwilling to negotiate. They're criticizing his plan as wasteful and ineffective, saying it does nothing to fix any underlying issues.
What we were trying to do was have the largest tax cut in real time right now to affect the most amount of Floridians. And what did he do? He said he was going to veto the largest tax cut in the history of the state of Florida. His ego was getting in the way of governing. He is not the same governor today that he was 6 years ago. And it hurts me because this is a man that I endorsed for president.
Well, as you heard there, the House Speaker, Danny Perez, he's not happy. But however this shakes out, it needs to happen fast. Perez said the House will meet on Tuesday and vote to extend the current session until the end of June. Now, the Senate at the moment is only willing to meet until June 6th. After that, the new state budget needs to go into effect before July 1, when the new fiscal year starts, or otherwise, Florida might face a government shutdown. Curtis?
You know, this is so interesting, Jason, especially having a supermajority on the Republican side in the House and the Senate, that we're at this point right now. Goodness gracious. We'll have to wait and see how everything shakes down. We appreciate it. Thank you for having you in studio with us. We appreciate you being here. All right, we'll have to wait and see, of course, as I mentioned, how things are going to happen up there in Tallahassee. To keep up with the latest in Tallahassee as budget negotiations get going again, tune in to Political Connections tonight at 7 and 11:30 p.m., led by Spectrum News anchors Beth Roswall and Holly Gregory. You can also find more political news on the Spectrum News app. All right, a popular soup kitchen has served up its last meal, but that's not the end of their story. There's more to it. When we come back, we're going to check in with the Daily Bread and how they plan to dish up a hope in a whole new way. We'll have that for you coming up on the other side of break. But first, I want to send things over to dual certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick, who is tracking the latest on storms right now. Brian.
Yeah, Curtis, southern Volusia and northern Brevard County, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect here till 5:15. Some small hail and very heavy rain. This picture coming from Mims from William. We'll be back with a look at Klystron 13 after this break.